Have you ever wondered if the wicked truly get what they deserve? In the ancient world, one city stood as a symbol of cruelty and oppression. Its name was Nineveh, and its days were numbered. Our story begins around 650 BC, in a time when the Assyrian Empire dominated the ancient Near East. At its heart lay Nineveh, a city of blood, full of lies and plunder. But God had not forgotten the cries of the oppressed, and he was about to send a message through an unlikely messenger named Nahum. Nahum, whose name means comfort, was a prophet from Elkosh, a small village in Judah. He wasn't a prominent figure like Isaiah or Jeremiah, but his words would shake the foundations of the mightiest empire of his day. Picture this. Nahum stands before a crowd, his eyes blazing with divine fire. He raises his voice and declares, "The Lord is a jealous and avenging God. The Lord takes vengeance and is filled with wrath." These words, found in Nahum 1:2, set the stage for one of the most vivid prophecies in the Bible. But why was God so angry with Nineveh? To understand this, we need to look back about 150 years. The prophet Jonah had warned Nineveh of impending doom, and the city had repented. God had shown mercy then, but now Nineveh had returned to its wicked ways with a vengeance. Nahum's oracle paints a picture of a city drenched in violence. He speaks of Nineveh's endless cruelty, its ruthless military campaigns, and its exploitation of other nations. In Nahum 3:1, he cries out, "Woe to the city of blood, full of lies, full of plunder, never without victims." The prophet's words are not just a condemnation, they're a vivid portrayal of Nineveh's coming destruction. He describes it with poetic intensity. The gates of the rivers are opened and the palace collapses. This imagery in Nahum 2:6 likely refers to the Tigris River being used to flood and destroy the city's defenses. Nahum's prophecy is relentless. He speaks of chariots raging in the streets, of flashing spears and glittering swords. The mighty Assyrian army, once the terror of nations, will stumble in the streets, rushing to the city walls, only to find the battering ram set against them. But this isn't just a tale of destruction, it's a story of justice. Nahum reminds us that while God is slow to anger, he is also great in power and will not leave the guilty unpunished. This balance of divine attributes, mercy and justice, is at the heart of the prophecy. As Nahum's words echo through time, they raise profound questions. How do we reconcile God's love with his judgment? Is there a point where mercy must give way to justice? These are questions that have challenged believers for centuries. The prophet doesn't shy away from graphic imagery. He compares Nineveh to a prostitute, beautiful and alluring, but using her charms to enslave nations. This metaphor in Nahum 3:4 isn't just shock value, it's a powerful indictment of how Nineveh used its wealth and power to corrupt and control others. Nahum's oracle reaches its climax with a series of taunts. He mockingly calls on Nineveh to prepare for siege, to strengthen its defenses. But it's all in vain. The prophet declares in Nahum 3:19, "Nothing can heal you, your wound is fatal." As we hear these words, we might feel uncomfortable. Isn't this level of judgment at odds with the New Testament message of love and forgiveness? But Nahum's prophecy reminds us that love and justice are two sides of the same coin. A God who loves must also be a God who judges evil. The fall of Nineveh wasn't just a historical event, it was a turning point in the ancient world. In 612 BC, just as Nahum had foretold, a coalition of Babylonians, Medes, and Scythians besieged and destroyed the great city. The mighty Assyrian Empire, which had dominated the region for centuries, crumbled. Nahum's prophecy proved true in every detail. The city was flooded, its defenses breached, and its treasures plundered. Nineveh, once thought impregnable, fell in a matter of months. The archaeological remains of Nineveh, discovered in the 19th century, bear silent witness to the accuracy of Nahum's words. But what does this ancient prophecy mean for us today? First, it reminds us that no one, no matter how powerful, is beyond accountability. Nations and individuals alike will ultimately answer for their actions. Second, it challenges us to examine our own lives and societies. Are we building systems that promote justice and compassion, or are we, like Nineveh, prioritizing power and wealth at the expense of others? Lastly, Nahum's oracle points us to the character of God. Yes, he is a God of judgment, but he's also a God of restoration. The same prophet who pronounced doom on Nineveh also wrote, "The Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him. Nahum 1:7. As we close this chapter of biblical history, let's remember that the story of Nahum and Nineveh isn't just about the past. It's a call to justice, a reminder of accountability, and an invitation to trust in a God who cares deeply about how we treat one another. In a world that often seems to mirror the violence and oppression of ancient Nineveh, Nahum's words still ring true. They challenge us to stand for justice, to speak truth to power, and to trust in a God who sees all and will, in his time, make all things right. The fall of Nineveh reminds us that empires rise and fall, but the word of God endures forever. As we face our own challenges and injustices, may we find comfort in knowing that the God of Nahum is still at work, bringing light to darkness and hope to the oppressed.